Hi, I'm Karceno.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Karceno and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Oh, you want to talk, Johnathan? Come on up. I'll drop the link for you. And we can have this conversation. No problem. The link is dropped. Well, yeah, I got tons of questions. Okay, glad to see you, bro.
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
I'm all right. Now,
Good.
I've heard a lot about you in this industry. Know about your credentials a lot. Now, I did have some questions about that whole audio that we heard, and it's gotten a lot of attention because it got on my radar because you mentioned LeBron James' name, and they know I am not very fond of LeBron James, Chris Paul, and everything else. So it kind of got to my attention. So we brought this up, and you said that the feds have the tape of them there and that they were participating in the freak offs. I didn't think that is true whatsoever. How do you know that to be true?
Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. I was getting a crazy echo. You got me now?
Yes, I got you.
All right, so repeat that question. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, the question was, you said that LeBron, Rich Paul, and Adele were participating in freak offs at Diddy's house. How do you know that's true? That's true, and that they do have that on tape.
Well, let's go back to Adele and I. So in 2019, it was viral. You know, if you just Google, Adele's name and mine, you'll see that it was out that we were supposedly like in a relationship. The Daily Mail said we were dating. The Mirror said we were dating, and it got kind of crazy.
I felt that was your publicist work, like you doing your publicist work. I felt that you were like putting that story out there.
Well, that's just kind of. I mean, I wish it could work that easy where I could contact a publication such as the Daily Mail or the Mirror and just say I'm dating someone and they're going to run with it. Right. They got the information. They contacted me. I said no comment. Adele also said no comment, which basically, raised all the speculation and a lot of people's assumptions because we both said no comment. Right. But so whatever happened between us, like, I don't want to really like get into all that because I've got some like crazy warnings since this stuff has went viral. I'll just say this. So you got to think that if I'm hanging out with Adele and she's on some like real freaky shit, if she's messed up, drunk, high, and we're all together, of course she's going to be showing me pictures of like, this is me and Diddy on her phone. This is me and so-and-so. This is me and so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Like, she's like a real freak. So, I mean, she was showing me pictures of that kind of thing. Then she gets involved with Rich Paul and our shit is like that, So That's what it is. I saw like photos.
Them getting involved in a business deal. That's why I never really kind of bought the relationship as real.
It was never a business deal. We were at Quad Studios in New York, and the place where Tupac was shot, and we went right next door to the strip club called Platinum Dolls or whatever. Adele likes to go to strip clubs, and we just hung out in the strip club all night.
Okay.
And we were getting tipsy.
So as far as LeBron and Rich Paul, have you ever had any meeting with them? You ever met them?
So I know Rich Paul when Adele started dating him. And then, I'm from, my biological mother is from outside of Cleveland. So I have a lot of friends in Cleveland, Ohio. And I know about, Rich Paul's history and some of his stuff that, that he's been involved in.
Okay. So you don't know LeBron. You never met LeBron.
I've never met LeBron James.
Okay. And that's what I kind of figured, because when you said that all three of them were participating in a freak off, that's when I'm like, okay, now I couldn't see that happening at a Diddy party with them staying there doing it because of LeBron's high profile as far as him being the family man. He has too much to lose there to risk doing such a thing. And I don't like the man, but I know how much
yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. That's also because Diddy parties that back then, those were the parties to be. That's not like the parties that we know of now. Like the Diddy parties that we know of now is like crazy, sinister, dark, freaky. Back then, Diddy parties were just, the place to be. Everybody wanted to go to it. It wasn't anything that anybody thought could turn into some kind of criminal conspiracy.
Well, yeah, pretty much sometimes. Because a lot of this stuff is going back like 15 years.
Right.
Yeah, so the thing about it is that there was basically a network opportunity. That's what his parties were for, like in the Hamptons in New York or whatever. But when you tie all of this together, it's really a bigger story especially when you say that. I can't omit the fact that I feel he's being targeted a lot because of what's happening with the liquor company. I cannot omit all that things because they've had other information on other people that they are just now starting to bring out, like the Abercrombie and Fitch guy, and other people that they know. These people know what's going on in this industry. So if they know that, why are they protecting certain people but going after somebody else and making them out to be the biggest monster in the game, knowing that Diddy isn't the biggest monster in the game? I know he's a freak. We all know Diddy's a freak, and he has wild parties. He's been doing that for years, having these wild things going on, and guys, girls. I just don't believe these civil lawsuits. I just really don't. A lot of them. I believe that these people were all with it. Everybody there knew what was going on. They wanted to participate. They wanted to be there for that moment. Now that they see an opportunity to get some money, that's why I see no criminal cases, only civil cases. He hasn't been charged with anything additional. You still have only one victim in a 14-page RICO case. It does not make sense. They would have added more charges by now. They would have added more victims by now. The trial started in May. So it's a lot of question marks in this situation. What did you feel about it?
Well, listen, I can just tell you what I know. So 2019, after whatever that was ended, right? And we done Eric B. and Rakim that you mentioned. We were number one on Billboard Jazz for 11 weeks. So obviously we're hot, right? And everybody was like, after Eric B. and Rakim, you should do another hip hop icon. So being in Brooklyn, we chose the Notorious Big. So when we started working with the Biggie camp, right? And that was in 2020, 2021. Well, they of course wanted to turn that into marketing about like Adele and I dating. So they were trying to rectify the situation. CJ Wallace is in LA, right? Along with Willie Mack, and the Biggie estate is based in LA. So they're trying to like fix the situation. CJ Wallace is obviously Biggie's son, who was Diddy's best friend. So they're also giving me information, inviting me to Diddy's parties. But as I said, then they weren't considered anything illegal or criminal, right? During the pandemic, Diddy's parties were crazy, right? Because I was always getting the invitation to go with CJ Wallace to the parties, but I was in Louisville, Kentucky at the time. So when I went out there, my girl and I, we ended up going to like raves. We didn't go to the Diddy parties, you know?
Okay.
So I've been in the, I've been in it and seen it on both sides. And, everybody, that's when we started to hear about like, yo, it gets freaky, it gets kinky in the Diddy parties, da, 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 da. Adele, she's with Rich Paul. You should come. Rich Paul's a good dude. Y'all like each other. Blah, 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 blah. That type of thing. Like they wanted to meet, but I just really wasn't about like meeting, Rich Paul. I was like on some like sour shit, to be honest, Oh,
okay. So
and I say sour because like when the rumors hit about Adele and I, like all my family, all my friends were like, yo, you and Adele. And then when she gets with Rich Paul, it was like, damn, bro, she played you. She left you, da, 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 da. So I just wasn't, with all that stuff. I was focused on the Biggie project.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I thought you were bitter because, you lost the opportunity to work with her.
No, I was never working with her.
Okay. Cause that's what I was saying.
We met at the studio and then it went from there. And she liked to go to strip clubs and she liked to, get high. And the girl that I was dating was a stripper. I had
a buddy that used to, provide a lot of people with some good kush. Then she was one of the people that that partake.
Yeah, listen, she likes the C word, the K word, the M word, all of them. I don't know what you can say on YouTube, but she was also going through the divorce with Simon. And like really when that story came public, I didn't want it to become public because that's what deaded any kind of possibility for anything, even if, because I did want to work with her, right? That's before it got like crazy weird. So once the stories came out, that deaded everything. And it got really toxic and really weird. So I'm out here like on my future shit,
Right. So I know after that stuff started going viral, what kind of warnings have you been getting since then?
Just that, I need to stop talking and like, people are trying to like work it out and you're not understanding and yada yada. But I do have a clear understanding. And this has nothing to do with LeBron James because I do like LeBron James. I don't like Rich Paul.
I don't like either one of them. They come in hand.
But I don't. But just like as a basketball player, I'm from Kentucky, so we're all about the basketball,
Right.
So,
player, I don't like him at all.
But LeBron, I hear you. But LeBron James, like, so it has nothing to do with him. It's more about Rich Paul and Adele, and obviously Rich Paul represents LeBron James.
Okay. All right. So now, I know you've worked with Drake.
Correct.
Right. And you said even as recent as this year, you've done some work with Drake. I know that's probably can't talk too much about it because Drake makes everybody sign an NDCA,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably can't disclose too much, but I'm going to assume that it has something probably to do with his baby mother. And I was telling them before, like it was glitching a little bit. They probably didn't hear me. Back in the day, when the Pusha T thing, they were blaming you. You were the one that was being blamed for exposing the Adonis situation. Can you speak on that?
That's correct. Well, what's wild is, I'll say this about the Drake stuff. When I was working with Drake at the beginning of the year, when they brought me on to do something, it was for that damage control when the pictures leaked. Because once again, I'm provided this information that don't answer. When Drake, when he had his, shit out and on, his plane and like his dick pics when he put that out. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? And
Yeah.
everybody was talking about it, but that wasn't even him, right? Like he tried to take credit for it on his story. Like that was a prosthetic. That was like a joke. I know that because I
Yeah.
know the source of the picture, and I know that wasn't, his junk. No Diddy, pause, all that kind of thing.
I've seen this done before, so I already know as a
Right. But
PR.
it's like I didn't leak that out. Drake leaked that out. He wanted people to think that of him. So it's like weird when they're coming down on me when he's leaking a fake picture of his joint, that he wants people to think is him, and that's like trending for 2 days. I thought that was like, whack. And so of
Yeah.
course I start hearing from Drake's lawyer, and then we talk, and they whatever.
Right. Got to put NDAs on everything because
because I have no issue with Drake's baby mother. Sophie is a really good mother and a really good woman.
Okay. Well, that's good because I thought you came in to meet Drake through her. Is that how that happened?
It was kind of both, right? I already knew of Drake and already knew of his manager, Future the Prince, and that's how it kind of happened. So they brought me on to help with her because they didn't believe it to be real. So I was it was like a baby mama claim because he had several people come out, several women come out and say they were pregnant with this baby, as a lot of celebrity men do. And it just wasn't true. So this was like another one. Put this on watch. Let's see how it goes. Talk to her, comfort her. Let's see what's real or what's not.
Right. So that was basically your job. I've had this job many a times. Like I have been publicist without even being titled. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not even, because I had a boxing. Well, I still got a boxing website. So I came in through the boxing world and being around Floyd Mayweather while he was growing up. So in this boxing game. So I was representing, and I was telling them earlier, when on our site, I was working with his publicist, the guy who runs his social media, and we're looking at, targeting things to put out that we're supposed to do to highlight certain events that they had going on. They had ideas and meetings. And so I'm basically doing the work for the publicist. I'm like, you're check, but I'm doing all the work. So it was cool because we was helping Floyd, and that was like somebody that we grew up with. But watching these other assistants that they had, and some of them are clueless. They have no idea of really what they're doing. They just know them so well that they put in a circle, and they need somebody outside to do that. But what people in this chat probably don't know is that you're also a producer, like all the jazz albums. Like they don't really know too much about it. Can you tell them about some of the albums and work you've done?
So like as like a publicist, I was always in the studio, especially, coming in the late 90s. I was like a kid when, we got our first record deal, and I really didn't know what I was doing. So being that the industry was a lot different then, I was always being a publicist. I was always around music, and I was always around the studio. And then I started producing, and it was kind of like a hobby. It was kind of like stress relief because like when I do like the publicity, it's like you feel, when I was doing it back then, you feel like it just feels fake. Like the things that you're saying, you've got to put out stuff. You got to craft narrative. So it always made me feel dirty, even though it paid well. So I would produce music with some of like my hip hop heroes that was like authentic, that was like my true self, that wasn't about, getting on popularity. So I just like did a lot of like jazz and like underground people, like, Crooked Eye.
Yes, the Wu-Tang. You were actually with the Wu. I was like, man, I didn't know you was working with the Wu.
Saha the Prince, Inspector Deck, like all those people. Yeah. So I got to work with my heroes and stuff, and then with AI and everything else, the music industry is just like so crazy. So over the last few years, I've just been like really, really laying low. not doing anything. And then this year I kind of like woke up and I was like, I'm
Because
gonna
I
I'm gonna
really,
bomb on everybody. Now it's time.
yeah, I really haven't heard like the biggest thing was the home invasion thing when
Correct.
you went through. That was the most massive thing I heard about you at that time.
Right.
And then after that, it was like you were gone for about 2 years. Seemed like
Correct.
I didn't see nothing from you after the home invasion, and I'm glad you survived that. That's a horrific situation, but you basically spun that around, and you put out a tape. Didn't you put out a tape called Home Invasion or something?
Yeah, we put out some music, just put out
Yeah.
some jazz stuff, just trying to heal from that because it was very traumatic, right? And then I was doing an interview with Jaguar Wright on Real Life, and she started talking about the home invasion, and she told me that she felt like Drake was involved, and I never thought about him being involved. And then we spoke offline, and she was telling me about how she saw it on the dark web, which I guess she saw like my case files. And obviously, like when you're in a home invasion and the police are investigating, there's going to be case files, and there was calls to Drake, to Future the Prince, and Sophie, and all that stuff. So the police, which keep in mind is in Louisville, Kentucky, they're like, "What do you mean you're talking to Drake? What do you mean you're doing stuff with Drake?" Like they didn't believe any of that stuff, so they put it in the case files. So that's where she saw it. But then when fans started coming forward and be like, Drake's been taunting you and Sanders Rose and Drake's this, that, I started to put it together, and I realized like, damn, dude, this guy is so petty that because I'm working with his baby mama, right? That, he's going to go and work with my ex and pay for her lawyer, which is like $130,000 to sue me. So like the whole shit's been crazy, bro. I went to like a real, dark depression, and now it's like I'm back, and like I said, I'm bombing on on everything that
Yeah, I'm
that
seeing
is
that you've
corrupt.
been going off. I've seen you go off on Jay-Z and
Yeah.
mentioning Rihanna. You just been going off on what's bringing up on like I don't even know. How do you get to that with, because I know you worked with Rihanna back
Correct.
on when she first was a young. She had to be like 16 or 17 at that time, right?
Correct.
Uh,
On to
yeah,
replay. Yeah, first single.
right. So like on her first single. So how does this even entwine with the Jay-Z accusation that you brought up?
Well, because I met Jay-Z and I worked with Jay-Z before Rihanna.
Okay.
And I worked with him on a Mill, the rapper, that was
Right.
on a lot of his big early hits. So
Right.
that's how I came in contact with Jay-Z, and I used to talk to him, all the time. He used to charge like $10,000 for interviews. And so I would like book him for all these interviews and make a little cut, like magazines and publications. And this is back in, 2004 and 5. So I
Oh,
just I stayed working with, stayed close to him. And then like that stuff just got so weird that I witnessed with Jay-Z. And I don't want to that's the thing, is like a lot of people are saying like I hold back stuff. And I do a little bit because a lot of people don't want to be brought into this. So I can only
right.
tell like a certain amount of things that I know and that I've witnessed. But yeah, Jay-Z is definitely a cuckold, right? Like I've seen that.
You've seen it live.
Now, listen, not like I've been there, like he's watched me or anything. Not like I've watched him. I'm not about all that, right? I'm about, like I'm real like jealous. I'd never let my girl be with another man. That doesn't. That's
Right.
crazy.
I couldn't do that either. I didn't want to be in the same room with somebody else doing
That
anything.
that's crazy. So like Jay-Z, he's just he's a wicked person, man. And
Well,
Jay-Z and Diddy, bro, you know, and Biggie, they were all foul people. And then Biggie dies, and Diddy and Jay-Z. Like once you knock them down, I think the industry is going to be a lot better place.
well, the thing is that he rarely does anything anymore. So it's like he's not gonna. He's way too much in a profile for that. But to say he's a cuckold, that's just that was the biggest shock I probably have heard. Now I know the reason why Jay he's so private about every little thing that he does. So if he does anything, he wants everybody gone, and it'll be him and just that person. Anyway,
Well,
I'm not gonna
yeah,
say nobody's gonna know, but it'll just be like just him and the other person.
but
Now,
but this is what you got to realize. I'm not talking about the Jay-Z now, and I'm not talking about the Ray J now, because like Ray J hasn't been, I don't know, he hasn't been relevant in years, right? I mean,
right,
we saw the Kim Kardashian and the tape that he made with her. I'm talking about the Jay-Z 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I did know him, when he wasn't as high profile as he is, like him and
right,
Beyonce, when he was a rapper, and that's when his focus was being the best rapper there is. So that's the Jay-Z that I know, who was inviting my ex at the time to
mm,
be, get down with stuff. And I know that Ray J was with Beyonce from being involved with the Kardashians, right? Because I used to work with the Kardashians. So I know all these things from being in the industry. So that's why I'm out here blowing the whistle,
oh
because
my
it's
goodness.
it's corrupt.
I mean, if you're trying to blow the whistle to expose this, aren't you like worried about the fallback, the blowback, and everything?
No, mm-mm. Not from these artists, not from these industry. I mean, not from this industry. It's too corrupt. I don't care about any of them.
Oh man, now
Yeah, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, home of Muhammad Ali, son. Like I don't, you know, I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, bro. I don't care about any of these guys. Diddy's down now. Jay-Z's got to come down, and then it's going to be a much better industry.
I don't know why somebody like why are they so hell bent on taking Jay down? Jay's not gonna go anywhere. Like that's it. They can try all they want. Jay ain't going nowhere. They're
I
not gonna
mean,
be able to get Jay.
listen, they got Diddy. They can get Jay.
No, yeah, no. Diddy tried to extend too much. Jay-Z knows his place. Diddy tried to expand an enterprise, and that wasn't gonna happen. He bit the hand of the people that were protecting him and feeding him. He thought he was at their level, and they had to show him, just like Kanye West did, and they had to smack him down and to reality. And this same thing just happened to Diddy right now, and he sees now that yeah, you've done way too much, and they could expose to the world. And once they got all the goods on you, and they know all about these freaky, crazy parties, and they'll use all that against you. And look at the what's happening to him now.
Yeah,
He's
no, no.
destroyed. I mean, if let's say he wins the case, he can't do anything anymore. Like he won't be in any industry parties. It just nobody want to be photographed with him. Nothing. He can't do anything anymore. He's completely gone. But I don't even see Jay and them two being a problem. The problem in the industries is people are omitting the people around them that are the CEOs, and the guys that actually are the presidents and CEOs of these companies that cut them their checks. These guys are the guys. I know you we all know who they are.
Correct.
The parties is their parties. These CEO of these record companies that bounce
Yeah.
around from label to label, and they put their friends as vice president of the companies. They're the ones throwing these parties and putting all this stuff together so that all of this would happen. The people who are cutting Diddy and Jay-Z the checks. These are the people that like I know.
Now
These
those are the people I'm scared of.
right, exactly.
That's the they. When they say
One of
they,
the guys is in charge of YouTube.
I'm scared of
They brought
all of
him
them.
over,
I'll
you
never
know.
speak on none of them. So it's like maybe I'm
Yeah,
being fake too because I'm whistleblowing on
that's what I'm
everybody. But
saying. Right. It's
yeah,
easy to whistle blow on basically the talent and the artists, but what about the people that's above them? Those are the problem. So if you want to drain the swamp, it got to
nah,
start with that circle.
You're right.
Getting them out ain't gonna do anything. They'll just replace them with somebody else.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, maybe I need to chill. Maybe I need to fall back. You're right. I got you. I got you. Listen, I've got to leave here because I've got to run out, but I appreciate, you, and I appreciate that. I just want to kind of clear that up. When I did that interview, I was slow because I wasn't reading. I was just really faded. And somebody asked me to address the situation. So I had that good coach that you're talking about that Adele liked. I was faded. My girl was like, yo, you should record that over. I was like, it's too late now. I already sent it off. So
well, at least they glad you came up, man, and now you've explained it to them. And now everybody's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. So now, so he said it, he got it all out. Now he knows he can just fall back down and just
That's it. You're right. I gotta chill. But thank you so much, bro. Really appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, no problem. Thanks you for coming up.
All right.
All right. Appreciate you. Have a good night. That's right. That's Johnathan. Hey, he came up himself. See, now if LeBron would just do that, we can get to the bottom of things. LeBron ain't going to do that. Now I'm not credible at all. Why am I not credible? Every question y'all had in the chat, I asked him. He answered everything. And the things you didn't know about that I already knew about him, we talked about. What are you talking about? We had a great conversation. And then we got a lot of clarity. He gave a lot of clarity to a lot of things. No, he said he knew firsthand about Jay-Z being a cuckold. I could, that's my thing is like, I can't see Jay doing that. But he says he knows firsthand. He said he's definitely a cuckold. So I said, okay, that's his opinion. I can't change that for him. He said, oh, not me. He talking about Johnny. Oh, okay. You talking about somebody in the chat. Oh, yeah, he came through and clarified a lot of things. And him being a publicist in the game and a musician and everything else, I knew that. But I knew he didn't meet LeBron. Remember I told you, I said, I don't think he met LeBron James. He might have met Rich Paul, but I told you, I don't think he met LeBron because LeBron would not really bring him into his circle like that. LeBron is very, like, only his guys and people, like, yeah, they don't let like a bunch of new people in their circles at all. Yeah, now we said it at the end because I'm like, it's the people above them. They're the guys that's cutting the checks. And he's like, look, those are the guys I'm scared of. You see? Because I told you, those are the people with the power. Jay-Z, Diddy, those are the people who have the illusion of power. They have no power. The people that cutting them the checks, those are the people, that's that 1%. Okay? Jay-Z and Diddy, they got to work every day. They got to. Those guys don't have to work. They just make sure you're working for them. Yes, they do. They take your stem cells and transfer it to a new clone. Yes, and your stem cells do not give you thought patterns to your brain. You know, no two brains are alike. You know that, right? Not even in twins. Identical twins, their brains are different. Everybody's brain has different patterns. So hopefully all of you guys have subscribed to this page. hit the notification bell. Even if you're subscribed here and you've hit that like button, hit that notification bell. And hopefully all of y'all are on the Patreon. Because, that's where it really gets into the nitty gritty. We were going over the stuff on there. People couldn't believe it was on the Patreon. But I put it back up there on the Patreon so y'all can see it. Oh, yeah, we talked about it. The Kardashian success. And how they made it. And how they really living on loans. My picks for the day, I got to check on those. The Nate Jones story. Fat Joe and Jordan Brand shoe deal explained. You heard him bring it up on Club Shay Shay. I had to explain it to you, the whole world, how that whole business deal went down. Diddy got a break in the case. We saw that. We did the Lakers breakdown. Gil got twisted in his own lies. And the Jay-Z and Ty fight you never knew about. JJ and Ty got into a fight. Jay-Z beat Ty goofy ass. So, yeah, join the Patreon, the Karceno for Life Patreon, man. The man who owned Jay-Z. Like I said, they never talk about those guys. Then we talked about business. What to know about business LLCs. And we decided to drop that knowledge on y'all. Part 1. Part 2 is coming up. Oh, yeah. The truth about sickle cells, it sucks. Basically took the life of a girl I was dating. She had sickle cells, and they told her she wasn't going to live when she was born, and she lived 20 years before she died. Everybody keep telling me, like, science and all this. It's science. It's science. I'm like, well, who invented science? It's scientifically. I was like, you don't believe there's a God? God shows you he's here every day. What are you talking about? I'm like, your science proves God's existence. I had this conversation with people, and I'll tell it to y'all. This guy who's a scientist who tried to tell me that science is not God, it's science. And I said, science proved that God exists. And he said, okay, well, I'm entertained. Prove it. It's like very easy. Everything around you is God. And your science is here. We, as human beings, we breathe oxygen, right? Without oxygen, we can't survive. What gives us oxygen on this planet? The trees, right? The trees give us oxygen. But the trees don't need oxygen to live. They need carbon, CO2, carbon dioxide, which we breathe out of our mouths. We breathe in oxygen, but breathe out carbon dioxide, which the plants need, the trees need to survive. Now, why would that be the case? Right? Why? God could have just made us just walk around, right? Why would we have to do that? Because we provide a circle of life. Our existence gives life to everything else around us. Just as everything else gives life to us, we're all needed. We need water. If without water, we will perish. The body will fail without water. And I was like, you could use your science to prove that God exists. I was like, look at us, gravity, right? We can measure gravity. You can go to a NASA room and measure gravity. Our bodies are exactly, the gravity level is exactly precise. 1% lower. 1%. And we probably wouldn't even be able to stand up straight. It would be like we didn't put on a 60-pound weight vest and somebody's pushing us down. 1% lower. Go up 1% higher, and you can like jump in the air like LeBron James almost. The gravity is exactly correct. The moon is exactly in a precision place used by science, perpendicular to the sun, that when the sun sets, the light reflects off the moon. The moon is dark. It is black. It's not white. The moon is black, and it reflects the light from the sun to the planet when the sun is out of reach. So that one, we have heat even at night, and we have light. And the science that you're talking about was created for the gods. The gods gave them the mathematics to do it. That's why they would design. There was no lights and candles. They would design their huts to where the sun would come in at and where the moon would come in. And they would capture the light from the moon by letting it, because if you've seen the pyramids are like a diamond. They're not shaped as a pyramid. When you walk into the pyramids of Giza and you go down, it's like a diamond where the light would come in through the top, hit the floor, and reflect back up. That's why it looks like the Luxor, where the light is going from the top all the way to the sky, that beam of light. That's why. So I don't have to prove God exists, because you can't prove to me that he doesn't. And on that note, Karceno is out. I support my brother, Solomon Hill, baby. He was just out there playing defense. It ain't his fault LeBron can't move his feet.